The holy lances crash through the palace roof. Marble explodes. Varkaz takes a spear to the shoulder and still stays standing. Below him, his demon soldiers burn and scream. The saints chant in a circle. Their next strike will erase the throne room in 3 seconds. Varkaz lifts 2 fingers. The air folds like paper. A black sun opens above the saints. Gravity reverses. Their bodies snap upward, then compress into a single red bead. He closes his hand. The bead pops. No bones, no ashes, just silence and falling holy dust. His victory tastes wrong. Blood leaks from his nose and won't stop. Worse, a human memory flashes. Rain, headlights, a truck horn. His heart stutters like it remembers dying. If he is the Demon King, why does death still feel close? The surviving saints retreat to the shattered balcony. They stare at him like he is a crime. Varkaz steps forward, dragging the spear out with one calm pull. Black veins crawl around the wound, sealing it. His generals kneel behind him, terrified to breathe too loudly. Selene appears at his side without sound. Silver hair, obsidian horns that curve like a crown. Her hand touches his arm for 1 second, steadying him. "Your blood is turning pale," she whispers. He hates that she notices everything. "Report," Varkaz says, voice flat. General Korin answers fast. "Outer wall breached, 3 legions dead. The Holy Army brought a relic cannon." Varkaz looks through the broken roof. The cannon glows on a distant hill, charging again. He snaps his fingers. A ring of floating blades forms from shadow metal. The blades streak out like meteors. The hill turns into a crater. The cannon disappears mid-glow, cut into dust so clean it looks unreal. His demons cheer, but Varkaz feels nothing. The cheering stops when a bell rings from far away. Not a demon bell, a church bell. It echoes inside the skull, not the air. Selene flinches like she got slapped. Varkaz sees it and his stomach tightens. Selene almost never flinches. "That sound, is it for me?" he asks. Selene avoids his eyes. "It's for the world," she says. They rang it when the first Demon King rose. Varkaz hears the unspoken part, and when he fell, Korin offers a blood-stained banner. "We can pursue and end them." Varkaz takes the banner, then crushes it into ash. "No chase," he says. "They want me outside the barrier." His gaze slides to the palace pillars. Strange runes glow faintly, as if someone rewrote them. The truck horn returns in his head. Louder, he sees a streetlight, a crosswalk, his own hands holding a convenience store bag. Haru Sato, 26, tired, broke, alive. Then headlights swallow him. The impact is cold, then nothing. He wakes on a throne made of bone and star iron. A crown melts onto his skull like it has waited centuries. 1,000 demons bow and call him Varkaz. He tries to scream his real name and his tongue moves wrong, too sharp. Fear hits first. Then, power follows. A voice inside the throne teaches him spells yet breathing. Forge, bind, rewrite, create artifacts that ignore the rules. He builds the Eclipse Crown, the Null Blade, the Abyssal Forge. Every creation feels easy. That's what scares him most. He tells himself he will rule with control. Then kingdoms send heroes. They kill his demons for sport. They burn demon villages and call it holy work. His restraint breaks. He wipes one kingdom off the map in a single night. The screaming never leaves his dreams. Tonight, after the saints retreat, the palace doors slam shut by themselves. The floor runes flare bright. A new circle appears, one he never designed. Selene's eyes widen. From the circle, something knocks from the other side like a fist testing a coffin lid. Varkaz walks down the throne steps. His subordinates part like waves, heads down. He hates how they worship him. He also hates how good it feels. Selene stays close, matching his pace, always 1/2 step behind like a promise. "If that circle is holy," Korin says, "we should destroy it." Selene answers before Varkaz can. "If you break it wrong, it becomes a gate." Korin bristles. Selene doesn't blink. Varkaz hears the tension and tastes it like metal. Varkaz crouches and presses his palm to the glowing rune. Cold pain crawls up his wrist. The circle isn't holy, it's older. It feels like the world's first mistake. For a moment, he senses chains buried under the palace, deep as the mantle. "You're shaking," Selene murmurs. Her fingers hover near his hand but don't touch. Varkaz forces his hand steady. "I'm fine." The lie comes out too smooth. Selene's eyes soften, and that softness hurts more than any spear. A courier demon arrives, wings torn. "My King 3 border forts vanished." Varkaz stands slowly. "Vanished?" The courier nods, panting. No rubble, no bodies, just empty ground, like someone cut the forts out of reality. Varkaz turns toward the map wall. He traces the fort's locations with a clawed fingertip. The pattern forms a triangle around the capital. A containment shape. Someone is drawing a cage. His mouth goes dry. "They're not attacking," he says. "They're preparing." Selene leans close. "For what?" Varkaz watches the runes flicker under the palace. "For me to become something they can kill," he says. Selene's jaw tightens. She hates the idea of him becoming killable. Korin kneels. "Give the order and we march." Varkaz looks at his soldiers. Many are young, many are smiling like war is a festival. He remembers human funerals, he remembers crying once. That memory feels far away now, like someone else's life. "No march," Varkaz repeats. "We fortify, we hunt the rider of these runes." His generals exchange glances. They want blood, not puzzles. Selene watches them, quiet, as if counting which of them will betray first. Later, in his private chamber, Varkaz stares at a mirror made from dark water. His eyes are gold, but for a second they flash red. He presses his palm to the glass. The reflection smiles half a beat late. "What are you?" he whispers to himself. Celine enters without knocking. "You don't sleep," she says. "Demons don't need it." Farkaz keeps staring at the mirror. "I used to," he answers, "before I died." Celine's expression flickers like she wants to say sorry but doesn't know how. "Tell me the truth," Farkaz says. "When I appeared on that throne, did you know I was human?" Celine holds his gaze. "I suspected," she admits. "Your first words were wrong. You asked for a phone." Farkaz laughs once, bitter. "So I'm a joke to you." Celine steps closer. "No," she says, "you're a blade, and I'm the sheath that keeps you from cutting yourself." The tenderness in her voice makes him feel exposed. A knock interrupts them. Corin enters, tense. "The council demands your presence," he says. "They say your human weakness is endangering the realm." Celine's eyes narrow. Farkaz feels anger rise hot and clean. He makes his decision. The council wants answers. Fine. He'll give them answers they'll never forget. Celine tries to stop him. He walks past her. The throne room doors open on their own. Then he feels it. Someone has been in his private chambers. Someone who shouldn't exist in this realm. The council chamber is a tomb of marble and shadow. 12 archdukes sit in a circle, each wearing a mask made from a conquered king's crown. Their magic presses on Farkaz like deep water. He keeps walking anyway, boots loud on stone. Duke Malgren speaks first. "Your power draws holy attention," he says. "You provoke wars." Farkaz tilts his head. "I didn't provoke them," he says. "I survived them." The chamber goes colder, like the shadows inhale. Another duke laughs. "Survival is not rule, we need stability." Farkaz looks at Celine behind him. She is calm, but her fingers twitch near her dagger. He realizes she is ready to kill any of them in a blink. The thought comforts him and scares him. "Stability means weakness," Farkaz says. "Weakness means slaughter." He remembers demon villages burned by holy oil. His throat tightens. "I won't return to begging humans for mercy," he adds. A few ducal masks tilt as if they finally see him. Malgren slides a parchment across the floor with magic. It stops at Farkaz's feet. "A treaty," Malgren says. "Limit your artifacts. Stop rewriting reality. Become a normal king." Farkaz stares at the parchment like it's filth. He kneels, then burns the treaty with a thought. Black fire eats ink first, then paper, then the air around it. The council flinches. Farkaz feels the thrill of dominance and the ugly part of him that enjoys their fear. Celine's voice is soft. "Don't," she warns. Farkaz doesn't look at her. "They already chose sides," he says. "I'm just answering." His hand trembles slightly. He hides it by clenching his fist. Duke Vel tries a different angle. "We heard you speak a human name in your sleep," he says. "Haru." The chamber goes silent. Farkaz's heart drops. He never told anyone that name. Celine's eyes flick to Vel, sharp as a blade. "Where did you hear that?" Farkaz asks. Vel's mask smiles. "Spies," he says. "Or perhaps memories leaking." Farkaz feels a cold line crawl up his spine. If his human past can leak out, someone can use it. Malgren raises his hand. Chains of pure shadow snap out, aimed at Farkaz's wrists. Farkaz doesn't dodge. He opens his palm. The chains freeze mid-air, then unravel into harmless thread. He steps forward and the council's pressure cracks. "Try that again," Farkaz says, "and you'll learn what Almighty means." His voice stays calm, but his jaw aches from holding back rage. He sees Celine watching him, eyes full of worry, like she's afraid the next step changes him forever. The ducal masks whisper to each other. Farkaz hears one phrase repeated, "Primordial vote." That phrase makes the runes under the palace itch. He doesn't know why, but his body reacts like prey. Celine leans close, barely moving her lips. "They're stalling," she murmurs. "They want you here while something happens elsewhere." Farkaz's gaze narrows. He realizes the council chamber is also a cage built to distract a monster. Farkaz turns to leave. Duke Vel stands. "If you leave, you admit you're unfit," Vel calls. Farkaz stops at the doorway. His shoulders rise and fall once. "No," he says. "If I leave, I choose to exist." As he steps out, he catches a glimpse through a cracked window. In the courtyard below, General Corin is speaking to a hooded priest. Corin's hand accepts a small white shard that glows like bone. Corin pockets it fast, then looks up and locks eyes with Farkaz. The corridor outside the chamber is empty, too empty. Torches burn with blue flame, not red. Farkaz walks faster. Celine stays beside him, silent. "Corin," Farkaz says, voice low. "He's compromised." Celine's eyes harden. "Or he's bait." A scream echoes from the palace lower floors. Farkaz breaks into a run. His cloak snaps behind him like wings. He descends the spiral stairs and sees 2 guards nailed to the wall by thin lines of light. Holy wire. Precise. Professional. Farkaz touches one guard's cheek. The demon's skin is gray and cooling. His throat tightens. He should feel rage first. Instead, he feels tired. He realizes he has seen too many bodies to panic properly. That realization scares him more than the wires. Celine steps between him and the corridor ahead. "Wait," she says. "This feels like a trap." Farkaz nods but keeps moving. "Everything is a trap," he answers. "I'm done waiting for them to spring it." He draws the null blade from thin air. The sword looks simple, but the edge is a gap in reality. He slices once. The holy wires snap and dissolve. The air fills with the smell of burned prayer. Somewhere deeper, something laughs. The laugh is a child's giggle, wrong in a demon palace. Farkaz freezes. A human child's laugh drags a memory up his sister Yui, laughing at a cheap movie. He hasn't thought of her in months. The memory hits so hard his vision blurs. Celine steadies him with a hand on his back. Her touch is warm, almost human. "What did you hear?" she asks. Farkaz swallows. "A ghost," he says, "or someone mocking me with my past." They reach a sealed door. The metal is warped outward like something inside tried to escape. Celine whispers a word. Farkaz pushes the door open. Inside is a workshop, his artifact lab. The abyssal forge sits at the center, glowing softly. The forge is open. That should be impossible. Farkaz's chest tightens. Only he can open it. Celine's eyes scan the room. "Someone copied your authority," she says, "or you gave it away without knowing." The second option hits like a punch. On the work table lies a small object, a phone. A real human phone, cracked, wet, with the same model Haru used. Farkaz's fingers hover above it. His breath turns shallow. "This shouldn't exist," he whispers, and the room feels colder. Celine watches him, face unreadable. "Touch it?" she asks. Farkaz forces himself to pick it up. The screen flashes once. A notification appears in Japanese, "Missed call Yui." His knees almost buckle. The phone turns to ash in his hand. Ash flows upward, forming a symbol in the air, an old holy sigil shaped like a wheel. Farkaz's blood turns ice. This isn't random. Someone is reaching across worlds to hook his human heart. Korin's voice sounds behind them. "My king," he says. Farkaz turns, sword half raised. Korin stands alone, hands open, eyes too calm. "I didn't do this," Korin says quickly, "but I know who can." Celine steps forward, protective. "Speak," she says. Korin swallows. "The council serves a hidden patron," he says. "A primordial sealed beneath this palace. They're trying to wake it using you as the key." Farkaz's skin prickles at the word key. A wet dragging sound interrupts him. From the corridor something scrapes closer. Korin goes pale. "Someone is bleeding out there," he whispers. Farkaz smells it and stiffens. It isn't demon blood, it's human. Celine's body lies crumpled against the throne room steps. For a second, Farkaz can't process it. Celine never falls. Her silver hair is stained dark. A holy nail pins her shoulder to stone. Her eyes flutter open and she forces a weak smile. Farkaz's hands shake as he kneels beside her. Rage roars up, but fear is louder. "Who did this?" he asks. Celine coughs. Black blood splatters his fingers. "Not who," she whispers. "What? It used my face." Korin rushes in, wide-eyed. "I left you for 2 minutes," he says to Farkaz. Farkaz doesn't answer. He tries to pull the holy nail out. The nail burns his palm like acid. Celine grips his wrist. "Don't," she says. "It's chained to your soul." Farkaz inhales through clenched teeth. He channels a gentler spell, one he almost forgot, unravel. The nail loosens without ripping her essence. It slides free with a sickening sound. Celine sags, breathing hard. Farkaz presses his forehead to hers for 1 second, desperate. "Stay with me," he says, voice rough. Celine's eyes soften. "He finally said with me," she whispers. The intimacy makes his chest ache. He hates that love is now a weakness enemies can target. Korin looks away, uncomfortable. "The thing that attacked her moved like light," he reports. "It left a message carved into the throne." Farkaz turns. On the throne's bone armrest, letters burn in white fire. "I remember the truck." Farkaz's vision narrows. The letters crawl like living insects. He feels two instincts collide, human fear and demon fury. "Someone knows," he says. "Someone wants me unstable." Celine tries to sit up and winces. "They want you open," she corrects, "so something can enter." Farkaz orders medics, but he also knows healing won't fix holy damage. He holds Celine's hand anyway. Her fingers squeeze weakly, stubborn. The simple squeeze hits him harder than any battle. He realizes he would burn continents to keep that hand warm. A horn blares outside. Not a war horn, a summoning horn. Korin stiffens. "The council called the Iron Tribunal," he says. "Elite enforcers. They can kill archdukes." Farkaz stands slowly, still holding Celine's hand until she lets go. "Good," Farkaz says. "Let them come." His voice stays calm, but his eyes burn. He reaches into empty air and pulls out a new artifact mid-thought, the grief ring. It hums with a cost he can feel in his bones. Celine grabs his sleeve. "Don't use new artifacts blindly," she warns. "Your creations take payment." Farkaz looks at her. "Everything takes payment," he says. "I'm just tired of paying with demon lives." The Iron Tribunal arrives in the throne room as a line of armored demons, faces hidden behind iron masks. Their leader kneels. "By council order, you are restrained," he declares. Farkaz laughs once. "Restrained," he repeats like it's a joke. The leader raises a scroll. The scroll glows holy white. Farkaz feels a hook in his chest, tugging. His breath catches. The scroll isn't a law, it's a binding contract written in human blood. He tastes the blood and recognizes it. "That blood," Farkaz whispers. "It's mine." The tribunal leader's mask tilts. "Haru Sato," he says clearly. Celine's eyes widen in horror. Farkaz's world narrows to a single question. How did demon law acquire human blood from another world? The throne room shadows peel back, revealing a hidden figure behind the throne. It is Celine standing, uninjured, smiling gently. The injured Celine in front of Farkaz gasps, confused. The second Celine whispers, "I'm sorry." Then she adds cold and clear, "I brought you here with a truck, and now I have to deliver you." Farkaz's stomach drops. His hand moves on instinct, raising the null blade at the false Celine. The real Celine on the floor stares up, shaking. "That's not me," she rasps. The fake Celine's eyes turn pure white. "Both are you," it says. "One is the mask." The tribunal lunges. Varkaz swings once. Space splits and 3 enforcers vanish, cut out of existence. The fake Celine doesn't flinch. She steps forward through the torn space like it's a doorway. Varkaz's breath catches. Only a primordial can ignore that cut. "You're a primordial vessel," Varkaz says. His voice cracks, betraying fear. The fake Celine nods. "I am the gate's bride," she says. "I wore affection so you would keep me close." The words stab because part of him believed the affection was real. The injured Celine grabs Varkaz's ankle. "Listen," she whispers. "I didn't know, I swear." Tears mix with black blood. Varkaz feels torn in half, love and suspicion grinding together. He wants to trust her. He also wants to be safe. The fake Celine lifts her palm. The binding scroll in the tribunal leader's hands burns and turns into a chain of light. The chain shoots into Varkaz's chest. Pain explodes. His vision whites out. He hears the truck horn again, as if the chain drags him back to impact. Varkaz bites down so hard he tastes iron. He grabs the chain with both hands. It sears his palms. He pulls anyway. The chain groans like a living thing. His demon instincts scream to break it with brute force. His human mind screams that brute force will kill Celine on the floor. "Choose," the fake Celine says softly. "Your tether or your throne." Varkaz's eyes flick to the injured Celine. She shakes her head, desperate. "Don't sacrifice yourself for me," she whispers, voice breaking. That whisper is the most human thing he has heard in centuries. Varkaz changes tactics. He doesn't pull, he rewrites. He speaks a forbidden line the throne taught him. Authority overrides origin. The chain flickers. It resists. The cost hits immediately. His memory of his mother's face blurs, then disappears like erased ink. He staggers, horrified. "No," he whispers. He tries to remember her again. Nothing. The emptiness is a wound. The fake Celine smiles. "Yes," it says, "that's the price. Keep paying. You'll be pure demon soon." Varkaz roars and slams his fist into the floor. A circle of absolute darkness spreads. The tribunal armor rusts to dust. The fake Celine retreats one step, finally cautious. The injured Celine shields her face from the darkness, eyes wide with terror at his power. Corin appears at the doorway, bleeding from the mouth. "My king," he gasps. "The palace foundations are cracking. Something is waking." Varkaz's gaze snaps downward. He feels it too. An ancient heartbeat under the stone, slow and hungry. The fake Celine tilts her head, listening. "Good," it says. The gate stirs. The injured Celine screams, "No!" and tries to stand, collapsing. Varkaz catches her automatically. His arms tighten around her before his mind decides. Varkaz looks at both Celines. His voice goes low. Which one is real? The injured Celine meets his eyes with raw fear. "I am," she says. The fake Celine smiles kindly. "So am I," it replies. Varkaz feels trapped inside a love that might be a weapon. The ancient heartbeat speeds up. Dust rains from the ceiling. The palace ruins flare like a sunrise. Varkaz realizes the binding chain isn't just restraint. It's a key turning in a lock, and the lock is beneath his feet. "If I use this spell, there is no coming back," Varkaz whispers. Celine's fingers clutch his collar, begging without words. He activates it anyway. The grief ring ignites, and the world holds its breath. Reality screams. Sound bends into a sharp curve. Colors invert for a heartbeat. The throne room becomes a black and white sketch of itself, as if the universe is deciding whether to keep it. Varkaz feels his soul stretch thin, like molten metal pulled into wire. The binding chain shatters, not into pieces, but into letters. The letters fall and sink into the floor, sealing themselves into the palace foundation. Varkaz coughs and a stream of pale blood hits the stone. Celine flinches at the color. "That's not demon blood," she whispers. The fake Celine staggers, finally affected. Her white eyes crack with dark lines. "You rewrote the key," she says, surprised. Varkaz stands tall even while his knees shake. "I am the creator," he says. "Keys obey me." The tribunal leader crawls backward, mask shattered. "Monster," he gasps. Varkaz looks at him and feels nothing again. That emptiness is worse than rage. He wonders if the spell just burned the last part of his empathy. Celine touches his cheek. "Look at me," she says. Varkaz forces his eyes to hers. Her pupils are slit, but her expression is painfully gentle. "Stay here," she whispers. "Don't drift away." He nods, but he isn't sure he can promise. Corin limps forward, holding the white shard he took earlier. "This is the void key fragment," he says. "I took it to prove betrayal. It belongs to Malgrin." Varkaz's gaze hardens. "So Corin didn't betray," he says. "He gambled." The fake Celine laughs softly. "Cute," it says. "Expose one duke, save one general. The gate still wakes." The floor splits open behind the throne. A vertical slit of darkness appears, like an eye opening. From the slit, a voice speaks without words. It makes Varkaz's teeth ache. Celine clamps both hands over her ears, trembling. Varkaz doesn't cover his ears. He listens because the voice feels familiar, like the throne's first whisper. "It's calling you son," Corin says, horrified. Varkaz's stomach tightens. "I don't have a father," he snaps, but the denial sounds weak. The fake Celine tilts her head toward the slit, reverent. "He does now," it says. Varkaz raises the null blade and slices the slit. The cut refuses to close. That scares him. His sword can cut kingdoms apart, but this thing is anchored deeper than space. He feels small for the first time since reincarnation. We can't fight it here, Selene says, voice shaking. Varkaz looks at her. Then where, he asks. Selene swallows. At the Abyssal Forge, she answers. Your forge is the only place that can unmake a primordial anchor. The fake Selene moves to block them. Varkaz's eyes flash red again. He steps forward and his shadow grows horns and wings of its own. Move, he says. The fake Selene smiles sadly. If I move, you survive, it replies, and my purpose ends. Corrin throws the void key fragment at the fake Selene. The fragment explodes into a net of void lines. The fake Selene gets tangled, expression finally angry. Traitor, it hisses at Corrin. Corrin spits blood. I betray liars, he growls. Varkaz grabs injured Selene, and lifts her in his arms. Her body is light, too light. He hates that she can be carried like a fragile thing. Hold on, he says. She presses her forehead to his throat, breathing shaky, trusting him anyway. As they sprint toward the forge wing, the palace corridor ahead melts into blinding white. A door forms from light itself. It swings open. A choir's note pierces the air. Something steps through wearing a saint's face, yet its shadow has demon horns. Varkaz stops hard. The hybrid thing smiles. Hello, Demon King, it says. Or should I say, Haru. Selene in his arms stiffens. Corrin raises his weapon, trembling. Varkaz feels the gate's voice behind him and this thing's presence in front. He is being squeezed. The hybrid raises a hand. Holy chains whip out, aiming for Selene first. Varkaz pivots, taking the chains across his back. Pain bursts, white hot. He bites back a scream. He realizes instantly they aren't trying to capture him. They're trying to separate him from Selene. Selene gasps, tears forming. Stop using your body as a shield, she whispers. Varkaz snarls, then stop being my weakness. The words come out crueler than he intended. Selene's face tightens like she got slapped. That reaction hits him with instant guilt. Corrin charges the hybrid. The hybrid flicks a finger. Corrin slams into the wall like a tossed doll. Bones crack. Varkaz's chest goes cold. He can't lose Corrin too. He needs loyal hands around him or he will drown in betrayal. Varkaz lifts the Eclipse Crown artifact from his shadow and sets it hovering above his head. It lowers and locks with a click. The air turns heavy. The corridor darkens like night. The hybrid's holy glow flickers, suddenly uncertain. I built this crown to end wars, Varkaz says, voice low. I promised myself I'd never use it in my home. Selene's fingers clutch his shoulder. Don't, she whispers, fear trembling in her voice. Varkaz closes his eyes for one heartbeat. I'm sorry, he says to her, not the enemy. He opens his eyes and speaks the crown's command. Eclipse. Darkness falls like a blade. The hybrid's light gets swallowed, its body distorts, trying to escape the concept of night. Varkaz feels the crown drink something from him, another memory, another softness. The hybrid screams. The scream is human. It sounds like a young man dying on asphalt. Varkaz's hands tremble. He holds the spell anyway. The hybrid collapses into a kneeling shape, then breaks apart into ash that refuses to fall. Selene sobs once, small and sharp. Varkaz looks down at her, shocked to see tears. Why are you crying? He asks. Selene shakes her head. Because that scream, it sounded like you, she whispers. Varkaz feels sick. Corrin coughs, trying to stand. It said your name, he wheezes. Varkaz nods slowly. They have my human record, he says. They can summon things shaped by it. Selene's grip tightens. Then they can summon your guilt, she says, voice trembling. They reach the Abyssal Forge chamber. The forge pulses like a heart. Varkaz sets Selene down gently, then places his palm on the forge. The metal warms like it recognizes him. He feels the gate's heartbeat under the palace syncing with the forge's pulse. Two hearts trying to align. Varkaz begins crafting mid-battle. He forges a new artifact, the anchor nail, designed to pin a primordial to a single definition. The forge demands payment. His nose bleeds again, heavier. He tastes salt and iron and something like fading. Selene crawls closer, despite her wound. Let me pay, she whispers. Let me take the cost. Varkaz shakes his head. No, he snaps. I'm the king. King's pay. Selene's eyes flash with anger and love mixed together, messy and real. The floor cracks open. The slit eye widens. A huge presence presses upward. The fake Selene's voice echoes from the corridor, chanting like a wedding vow. Gate and key. Bride and king. Varkaz grips the fresh anchor nail, hands slick with pale blood. He slams the nail into the widening slit. The palace shakes. The eye slit convulses, then seals with a deafening thud. The pressure vanishes. Victory. But when Varkaz looks at his hands, they are shaking. The aftermath is worse than the battle. The sealed slit leaves a scar across the floor that won't heal. Demons gather in silence, staring at it like a grave. Varkaz's breathing is shallow. He tries to steady himself and realizes he can't remember his mother, and now he can't remember his own old apartment either.